everyone, it's Nina for Simon Says Stamp. Thanks for joining me today for the reveal of our STAMPtember exclusive with Newton's Nook's designs called Happy Paw-lidays. This adorable set, it features some classic Newton's Nook designs critters, including a cat and two puppies, some fun sentiments, and also some embellishment images too. As with any STAMPtember collaboration set, these are limited edition and only available while supplies last. So if you like it, you're going to want to grab it while you can. There are two options available for purchasing. One is the stamp and coordinating die set together as a bundle, or you can get the stamp set on its own. So let me show you the stamp and die set up close. Here we have the Happy Paw-lidays stamp set, which features, like I said, the cute little kitty, the two dogs, and they're each holding some fun, iconic holiday items. And then we also have coordinating dies that cut out all of the main images from the stamp set. I'm going to stamp these images onto some 120-pound white cardstock from our Simon Says Stamp collection, but I'm going to stamp these inks with Versafine Clair ink in the Nocturne color. This is a really nice deep black, and I'm going to ink up my images and stamp them onto my paper. I would like to color these with Copic markers. However, using the Versafine Clair ink as it is straight out onto your sheet of paper, it's not going to work very well with Copic, so you do need to seal it with embossing powder. So to do this, I'm just going to take some clear embossing powder from our Simon Says Stamp collection and sprinkle this over top of my wet images. The Versafine Clair ink is a pigment ink, so it stays wet long enough for you to be able to go ahead and heat set it. Even if you weren't working with Copic markers and you wanted a really nice finish on your stamped images, using the embossing powder on top of the Versafine Clair ink before it dries gives you that really nice raised finish, which is a really nice touch. So I'm going to go ahead and heat set all of these images before I go ahead and work on coloring. And for the coloring, like I said, I'm working with Copic markers. I'm going to use just a few shades for each of these images, and then all of the images are going to actually be featuring the same main colors, which are red, green, and teal. And then just the critters themselves are going to be colored with some different shades of browns and grays. So for the reds, I'm using R44, R46, and also R59. That R59 gives me a really nice deep shadow on these red areas, which I was looking for. I wanted something nice, rich red. For the greens, I'm going to work with YG05, G07, and G28. That G28 is also another darker color, so it's going to give me the intense shadows that I was looking for. I wanted some rich color here for Christmas. Rich reds and greens really, to me, speak like a traditional Christmas color palette. I used that dark green on the tree, the wreath, and the scarf for one of the critters. Then for the other two critters, I'm going to use the teal color for their scarves, and then for the kitty, I'm going to use the teal colors for the present. All of the Copic colors that I'm using to color in my images today are linked below in the video description, so if you're looking for those particular details, you can find them all there. Now to color in my critters, I picked out some E markers in E40, E43, and E44 for this puppy. I really liked the warm grayish tone that these browns have, and I thought that would go really nicely with the color palette. I'm going to use those same E40 markers, but just in the lighter versions to color in this other dog. This one has more of a Labrador look, and so I thought he would look nice in some light E's. So that's E40, E41, and E43. Finally, for the cat, I'm going to go ahead and bring in some grays. These are Cool Gray markers, and I'm using Cool Gray 8, Cool Gray 6, and Cool Gray 4 to color in some little spots all over the kitty. I'm not only going to have these darker spots on the kitty, but then I also used a really light Cool Gray marker to just add a little bit of shading around the rest of his body. For all of the critters, I did add some blush using an R30 marker, and I also used that blush to color in the ears and the belly of the kitty, as well as its little toe beans. So now that my images are completely colored, we're ready to die cut. So I'm going to pull out the coordinating dies, and I am going to hold them down with some tape before I run this through my die cut machine, just to make sure that they don't shift. This is so that way I will get a really nice clean cut. And then all of the areas that are white, and also some of the main embellishment parts of my images, such as the star and the bows for the wreath and the present, all of those areas I'm covering with some glossy accents, which is a clear adhesive. That's allowing me to then bring in some clear rock candy glitter from Tim Holtz and cover over those areas with the glitter. This is going to give my images some sparkle and shine, which enhances them a little bit, and I really like that, especially for the holiday season. I love adding some extra sparkle. And for the puppy that's holding the Christmas tree, I'm really enhancing that sparkle by bringing in a few gem stickers. These are from Rainbow Splash, and I'm putting these on top of the tree to look like little lights or ornaments, which I think looks really fun. I did the same thing for the wreath that the Labrador puppy is holding, and this one I'm just using the red gems to add to the berry sections of the wreath. Here you can see this up close with the wonderful sparkle on the bow and his hat, and then we have those fun little gems embellishing the wreath. So I have my images ready. Now it's time to work on my card that they're going to sit on. For the card, I'm using a Simon Says Stamp side folding card base, and I'm putting this snowflake cluster stencil on top. This stencil is a great pattern for being able to add soft snowflake designs to your backgrounds. So for this, I'm going to just use a simple shade of our Tide Pool ink from our Positively Saturating collection to add a soft bit of teal back there. And those snowflakes, of course, are masking off the design and giving us that beautiful finish. Along the bottom of my card, I'm going to add a small strip of pattern paper in this fun red pattern. I thought this would look really cute down there. And I'm using my new Tim Holtz White Studio Glass Mat to help me line up each of these pieces that I'm laying onto my card. This way I can make sure that everything gets adhered nice and straight. In addition to the red pattern paper, I'm also going to add a small strip of gold that I cut with a little scallop border, and I really like how this finishes off the bottom, and it's going to create a great grounding piece for my images. I'm going to pop my images up with some of our Simon Says Stamp foam squares, and I'm going to use the thinner foam squares. You can see how they compare to the 3D thicker foam squares. The thin ones are fantastic for adding just a small amount of dimension. So I'm going to put a few of these behind each of my images and then pop them up onto my card. I'm trying to make this card not too bulky, so it's going to be easy to mail. All of these images fit so nicely onto an A2 card, and they look so cute lined up together on this card. So I'm going to finish things off by adding a little sentiment. I'm going to prep some teal cardstock with our Simon Says Stamp powder tool prior to stamping with my clear embossing ink. And this sentiment that I'm picking out here is from the stamp set, the Happy Paw-lidays set, and that is exactly what the greeting says. I love that. I think it looks so cute with these fun little critters. So I'm going to go ahead and emboss this with gold embossing powder. I've sprinkled that on and then I'll heat set that. So in addition to the embossing, I'm also going to use a Copic marker and just shade the letters that say happy. I thought that would be fun to add a little bit of contrast there. Using my Tim Holtz snips, I'm going to go ahead and trim this sentiment down, and I'm going to cut around it to create a little bit of a shadow. These don't have coordinating dies for the sentiments, so I am going to fussy cut it. You could also cut this down into a little rectangle or maybe a circle, whatever shape you'd like. I did pop that up above my critters, and then I finished things off with a few gems from that same Rainbow Splash gem sticker collection. I'm using my Simon Says Stamp Place and Pierce tool to go ahead and help me line these up onto my card, and they slide underneath the gems really nicely. So that's going to finish off this adorable Christmas card using this Happy Paw-lidays STAMPtember exclusive with Newton's Nook designs, available only at simonsaysstamp.com. Now, if you would like to know about any of the other supplies in addition to this super cute STAMPtember collaboration set, you can find links to all of these things, including that stamp set and the coordinating dies, in the video description. And there are additional inspiration and more details about the set over on our Simon Says Stamp blog, which you can find a link to in the video description as well if you're watching this on YouTube. If you love this STAMPtember exclusive set, you're going to want to grab it while you can because it is a limited edition set and only available while supplies last. Well, friends, thanks so much for watching today's video. Hope you enjoyed and were inspired to create with this adorable Happy Paw-lidays stamp and die set.